Hello, I'm Helen Hansen. I've been thinking a lot recently about choose your own adventure stories for children. I used to love reading these type of stories when I was a child and choosing all the different paths I could go down, seeing what would happen if I went down the mountain or across the sea, seeing what would happen along the dangerous path as well. So thinking about life now in context from an adult perspective, it's really reminding me a lot of these choose your own adventure stories. Except nowadays, I'm not wanting to choose all the different paths. I'm very happy with the path that I've chosen and I want to stick on this path and go with it and grow with it. And how about you? Are you happy with the path that you're on right now? Or would you like to change it? Are you eyeing different opportunities? Are you at a crossroads perhaps? And what about those little paths within each day, the choices that we have in each moment? Are you finding that you are making the choices that you are happy with afterwards? Or are you still reaching for the tablets, the alcohol, the chocolate, the remote? Are you perhaps still being the victim and being in the space of a doormat for somebody, perhaps at work, even though you said you're not going to? Are you still shouting at the children even though you said, I'm going to change that habit? Are you still accepting somebody else's abuse even though you said, I'm going to stand up for myself? Have you made that career change that you've been wanting to for so long? Or are you still stuck where you are? Why is it that we so often have these great noble dreams, desires, aspirations, and yet our day-to-day living experience is quite different? Where is that missing link? Well, I discovered a few years ago that that missing link is in our limbic system. And our limbic is a part of the brain as well as the nervous system. But before I get too much more into the limbic, in order to understand it a little bit better, we need to have it in context of the other hemispheres of the brain. So let's just take a while to focus on the neighbors of the limbic. We have our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for analyzing, for thinking, for conscious choices. Now, this is able to process 40 nerve impulses per moment, per second. The reptilian brain, our hind brain, this is where our habits, our patterns, our programming from childhood is stored here. And this is responsible and able to cope with 40 million nerve impulses per second. Research is showing that 95% of our actions are coming from our reptilian, which is in our subconscious hemisphere. That means that only 5% is coming from conscious choices. So now, at this point, you might be having daggers at your subconscious and at your reptilian for the life that you're experiencing right now. But you know, there is a very, very vital and essential point and purpose of the reptilian, of our subconscious mind. Otherwise, we wouldn't have it. And let it be known that the limbic is actually part of the subconscious hemisphere as well. And if we look at our two dominating hemispheres, our reptilian and our cortex, as being continents, and these two continents are not speaking the same language, you can imagine that if they are needing to coincide in one world and not being able to understand each other, there's going to be confusion, there's going to be chaos and disarray. So in order to create harmony, one needs a translator, and this is where the limbic comes in. The limbic is the shape of an almond, and it is also known as the midbrain. It's between the reptilian and the prefrontal cortex, and it has the potential for a seesaw effect to send the one to the one extreme or to the other, or to create balance. And this is because the limbic is the factory of feelings. This is where our emotional memory is stored. So we might not be able to understand why we're reacting in a certain way when we hear a certain sound, smell a certain smell, or there's a certain situation that we react with in a certain way. There is an emotional memory sitting there deep within the limbic. Now, the limbic has the potential to understand both sides and to talk in a language that the reptilian would understand and to talk in a language that the cortex would understand, because it is this factory of feelings. And the limbic has the potential to nurture both. One can see it also as being the mother of the world. But just like the reptilian and the cortex, the limbic needs some support as well. And the limbic needs to be trained if it has not been fulfilling its job description accurately. Because the chances are, when our emotions are running havoc and things are not going right in our life and our conscious choices and our dreams and our desires are not manifesting, it's because our limbic is out of practice. And to get that balance throughout all the hemispheres in our brain, and for that to flow throughout our body as well, creating harmony within the cells of our body and assisting us to self-heal, eliminate disease, reach our full potential and thrive, we need to support the limbic. I mentioned a little bit earlier that the limbic is part of the subconscious, which means it has those deep stored memories and programming from the time that we were in mom's tummy to those early childhood years, memories that we don't recall with our thinking mind, but that are there, which means that the limbic has started out with the potential of being this harmonizer between our different hemispheres in the brain. But when our programming starts to affect that and starts to change the operational process of the limbic, then the limbic is not going to be able to function at its full potential and the other hemispheres are going to be affected. So how do we train the limbic? And let me first ask you, do you think you would benefit from training your limbic? Do you think you could benefit from stabilizing your emotions, getting an EQ balance, which means your IQ is going to improve, which means you're going to have more stability throughout yourself, which will radiate out towards the others, which will enable you to increase your productivity. It will affect your work life. It's going to affect your relationships. It's going to affect how you understand people, how you communicate, and how others receive and perceive you. It will affect your physical experience and being able to send this message of transformation into your cells throughout your nervous system, so that on a physical level, your body will be able to reach the potential that it can and that you know that you deserve to have. So how do we train our limbic? Well, as with everything in life, it takes practice. And there is the description of the peeling of the onion, which is very, very, very important here. So it is a process which happens for some quicker than others, but it is a process that is continuous, and one needs to continue with something like this in order to reap the benefits continuously. It's maintenance that we're looking for here. So there are various processes that I have which are able to reformat and get the limbic back to understanding and to operating in its full job description and its full potential. I'd like to share with you now a few testimonials of clients who've experienced brain balancing transformations with me. So the first one is from Sharasa, and she said, "Thank you for releasing me from the pain I felt and making me feel needed, safe and wanted. I feel as if I have a new lease on life and a fresh start." Then Monica said, "My experience has led to a few realizations about how I live my life and where I'm stuck. The process was simple yet powerful, as it revealed my blocks clearly and yet profoundly, reminding me of my connection to something greater. The Nusha said it was incredibly grounding, and I'm still working through the substantial effects. It really is a powerful process. And Hilda said, the approach of this modality is unique in that it is totally loving and gentle. In the space of love and safety, I relaxed totally and reframed my traumatic experiences. I was touched deeply by this profound experience and gently responded thereafter by saying to Helen, "You are born to do this." So if you would like to have the opportunity to balance your hemispheres and to bring about the potential of thriving in your life, I then invite you to join me on the 27th of September at the Indaba Hotel in Fourways, where we are going to be experiencing various experiential exercises for harmonizing the hemispheres in the brain. It's going to be from 6 to 7 in the evening. The cost is 100 Rand per person. You can purchase at the door, but if you do purchase online by the 22nd of September, then you stand the opportunity of bringing a friend for free, or each of you pay 50 bucks, whatever suits you. And if you're not in Johannesburg and not able to make this talk, then please do leave a comment or send me an email. Let me know whereabout you are and let me see what I can do to bring this information to you. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and thank you for your interest in self-development, self-healing, longevity, personal growth, and of course, brain balancing. Have a beautiful, harmonizing day.